Okay, so time on the show to turn our attention to the NPL Premier Division and let's look in detail at Matlock Town Football Club. I'm delighted to say that joining us again is the Gladiators manager himself, Martin Carruthers. Martin, I appreciate you coming onto the show because I know it must have been an extremely busy week this week. So I appreciate you coming on. How are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. Yeah, glad it's Friday, and you know what? After a busy week and a defeat, all you want to do is bounce back. See a response from the players, and what better game? A big crowd. FC United at home and a chance to put things right.
Yeah, definitely. So let's quickly just look first of all at that game last weekend. So obviously a disappointing defeat, obviously with the circumstances and the manner in which it happened. So you got a late equaliser and it looked like you were about to claim a decent away point at Lancaster City, but then Lancaster went up the other end and scored in injury time to make it 2-1 to the Dolly Blues. What was your assessment of Matlock's performance? Was that a bit of a disappointing one for yourself?
Yeah, I would say it's the worst performance since I took over as manager, and it's very rare where you get a day where you have probably 10 players not performing to the usual standard. If we're honest, normally you'll get an 8, 9 out of 10 out of a couple of players. You'll get a couple of 7 of 8s, and then some 5 or 6s. But we were 4 5s all over the pitch. And it was disappointing. We lacked energy, we lacked cohesion, no fluidity, and we just got involved into in a physical battle against a team that are used to doing that. Despite that, the positives are that we should have got a point. Better game management. Even from myself. When we got the equaliser, I should have put Jazz Gowdry, at the back and just said, we'll take a point. But we thought they'd gone, and we thought we could, get a winner, which was, in hindsight, not the right thing to do. So I'll hold my hands up and take responsibility for that. But you can't legislate for defensive mistakes and people switching off at set pieces, which is criminal. But it happened, and it's a steep learning curve. It's a valuable point lost, but we go again. So a couple of fresh faces in this week will certainly do us the world of good, and we're looking for some more next week as well.
Yeah, I can't go this show without asking you, obviously, about Ryan Qualter, because, well, for any listeners not aware, he left for Scarborough Athletic in the National League North a few days earlier this week. Obviously, Ryan has been incredible for Matlock over the past sort of 2-3 years that he's been at the club, so it goes without saying that's a huge blow. But what was your whole take on the situation? I mean, it sounds like you did everything that you could to try and keep him at the club, but it just wasn't to be.
Yeah, you know what? We did not want to lose him. He's an absolutely, fantastic guy in the dressing room, the skipper, our rock at the back. And, under normal circumstances, there's no way we would have allowed, Ryan to leave. With the quality of players that we've already got in defence, that's one area where we are really strong. It made that decision easier. It was not an easy decision. We moved training to Monday and Wednesday nights. Courts has got a new job. He has to look after his kids on a Monday and Wednesday, so he couldn't commit to training, and he's that much a professional. We spoke at length, and he didn't feel that it would be right that he didn't have to train and would still play in a team of, in front of lads that were playing. So, however painful it was, and if I'm honest, if we didn't have Sharman, Yates, Gowdry, Evo, the quality that we did, it would not have left and would have had to have bit the bullet, and he would have had to play without training. How would that have impacted on performances? We don't know, and unless we went through that scenario. But, like I say to the fans, we didn't want to lose him. It was a mutual thing. And, we felt we had enough cover to deal with a loss. We still won't be able to replace him. He's irreplaceable. But, that happens in football sometimes, and you have to do what's best for the player, as well as the club.
Yeah, so obviously that's a big blow. But looking at the positives, Matlock very recently have brought in a couple of new signings. So we've got Ethan Cartwright has come in, and also Robbie McNicholas. Just for any listeners not aware or maybe not have heard of these players, what do both of these players bring to the table for Matlock?
It's no, obviously we lost Alex Wiles, in centre midfield, and we've struggled in that area since we've been here, if I'm honest. And he'll just bring legs and energy, pretty much like Tyrone could do. We want young lads, tenacious, who can get box to box, create chances and score goals, and he'll bring all that. I heard about Ethan a few years back, when I was managing at Basewood United, and a scout from Stoke, a good friend of mine, highlighted him, but he then obviously went to Chester, which was a good move for him at the time. It's not worked out for him as he wanted to. He's been at Guiseley, been on loan at Belper. But, it'll be a fantastic addition, a young lad who's hungry, who's got energy, and it'll be a great addition. Young Robbie McNicholas. I had Robbie when I was working in the Basewood Academy. A fantastic young player, who probably I think should, be playing higher, and he's glad that he's back at this level. But, he's a consistent player, 7 out of 10 week in, week out. And I know him well, and he's got, defensively really good. He can play right back or right wing back, and he's got a great attitude. So another, real positive addition to the squad.
Yeah, and of course, I know they'll always have a look at what's happening, what Matlock fans are saying online. So I know there has been concern about how many players that played key roles last season, obviously in the first half of this season, have now departed the club. What are the chances of more players coming into the Gladiators squad, maybe sooner rather than later?
Yeah, I mean, we've been trying to get a couple of key players in, for the game tomorrow, and it's just not happened, which we're really frustrated because we wanted them in for the United game and the Nantwich game to really boost us and give everybody a boost. It's not through lack of trying, and hopefully, if we get these deals over the line, there'll be some key players coming into this football club, and which will show us our ambition and what we want to do and where we want to go. So I'm really excited. In terms of the reasons why players are leaving, obviously the training was in Manchester and Sheffield. I've brought the training back to Matlock. You sign for Matlock, that's where you train and play. And if some players are not happy with the travelling, some live in Manchester, etc., then, that's just football, and sometimes that's just circumstance. But, any player now that comes to Matlock, they're signing and they'll play and train in Matlock, which is how I think it should be. And I think that's what the fans want to see as well. And we can get local players to Matlock, even better. But it just gives us a bigger catchment area in terms of, where we can get players from, Derby, Mansfield, Nottingham, Leicester, Sheffield. It opens up an whole new, area where we can get players from, which is local to them. But, obviously there may be still some players who, are from up north who may find it too much and will move on. But again, that's football. But we won't be letting anybody leave this football club until we have, quality, if not better replacements.
Yeah, and just finally then, Martin, let's finish with a preview of this weekend's game. So big one at home against FC United of Manchester. Of course, as we all know, particularly at this level, United of Manchester have a very big fan base. So there should be a lot of people at the Proctor Cars Stadium for tomorrow afternoon. How big is this game, especially considering the manner of the defeat last weekend? How big is this one to try and bounce back from?
It's a huge game. We need to see a response from the players. We know our own form is good, but our away form has not been good enough. And, I expect all the players to have some fire in the belly tomorrow and, not only, give the managers, a reminder of how good they are, but also the fans, in terms of league position, we want 3 points. We want to be right in amongst those playoff places. They're a playoff rival. So it's an even bigger game. It's a 6-pointer, and with a big crowd, it's huge for both teams. But if we can get that 3 points and then go into the Nantwich game, and get a point or 3 points, then it will be a good few days. But the plan is to stay in amongst that pack, and we need to win tomorrow.
Yeah, great stuff, Martin. All the best for that game against United and Manchester. Obviously, we're all rooting for you and want to see the Gladiators back into those playoff places. So best of luck, Martin, and thanks for your time as always.
Cheers, pal.